What's up? What's going on, everybody? So I'm getting the vibe that some of us, maybe a lot of us, have been sort of kind of struggling with sticking to and being consistent with the new habits that we're creating for ourselves for the new year to manifest and achieve our goals, our dream life. And I'm gonna say, making a lot of changes at one time can sometimes be overwhelming. Sometimes it's a little bit more digestible to make one change for a period of time and then mastering that and then adding on another change. But I know that a lot of us want to shift our realities really, really quickly. So we make more than one change at a time to align with that new version of ourselves that we want to embody. However, all of these changes need to stand the test of time, and I'm gonna say this too. Starting out this new year, we had Mercury retrograde, we were going through Mars retrograde, and we had an absolutely chaotic full moon in the beginning of the month that really shook things up. So we had some things going against us, okay? But we're not gonna let that stop us. We're still going full speed ahead. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you 6 changes that you can literally make today, right now, to create less friction and less resistance between you and your dream life. And these are also gonna be 6 really great, simple ways to help you through some of those chaotic times, because life isn't always gonna move so easily and gracefully for us. So we have to build something that is going to stay on its path no matter what the circumstances are. If somebody would have shared these 6 simple things with me way back when, I would probably be in an entirely different place right now. So the blueprint for this, I sort of see in my mind as an equation. And the thing that sort of connects both sides of this equation is our lifestyle, because our lifestyle is equally a manifestation of our identity and our reality at the same time. So our identity plus our habits equal our lifestyle. Our identity being our subjective perspective of who we are, our self-concept, who we believe we are. Our habits being linked to that, and the consistent choices that we're making every single day that are based on who we believe we are. So again, identity plus habits equals lifestyle. And our lifestyle plus time equals our reality. If you keep up with a certain lifestyle over a certain amount of time, you'll notice that your reality shifts and changes, aligning to the person and the choices that you've embraced over that period of time. So some people might argue that the reality that you're living right now could be based on pure choice, or it could be fate. That might be another conversation for another day. But at least I think we can all agree on the fact that the reality that we're living right now is the sum of our thoughts, beliefs, choices from our past. So the thoughts, beliefs, and choices that we're embodying right now in the present moment are eventually going to sum up to our future. And this is why it's really important to follow your inspired actions right now rather than waiting till a later date. Some people say ideas have a shelf life. Well, motivation can kind of have a shelf life too, so think about it that way. So let's get into it. These are the 6 changes that you can make in your life right now to actually stick to your habits for good, so that you can live in alignment with the life that you actually want. The first 4 are really heavily based and inspired by the book Atomic Habits. I know I've mentioned this book in the past in my Manifest Your Goals video. And I'm sure at some point, if you're into self-development or self-help or nonfiction books, you have heard of this book before. No doubt about it. This book has been running rampant on the internet, but that is also because it is such a great book. James Clear just breaks it down in the most simple, logical way possible. And the things that he shares in this book are just very, very practical. So if you're into that, I highly recommend. I'll leave the link down below. It's a really easy, quick read too, which is cool. So he has something called the habit loop. And essentially the habit loop is something that we all go through every single time we're doing any given habit. So I'll try to find a graphic of the habit loop and put it right here so you can actually see a visual of it. It is cue, craving, response, and reward. These are the 4 things that our brain subconsciously processes every single time we're doing any given habit, good or bad. So if you want to take control over your habits rather than controlling you, these are the 4 pillars that you really want to pay attention to. So let's get into my first tip, which is going to be linked to the first part of the habit loop, cue. Change your environment. If you can, change your environment in any way possible. I'm going to give an example, and I'm going to give this example throughout all 6 tips so that you can follow along with this and make sense of it and how it actually applies to your day-to-day life. So let's say you're trying to transition to a plant-based or vegan diet. Every single time you walk into your kitchen, there are subliminal cues in your environment that are either signaling or supporting you being plant-based and vegan or not being plant-based and vegan. So right now, let's say all of the subliminal cues in your environment are animal-based or processed foods, sugary foods, things like that. These cues are signaling things to your brain to make the choice to pick that up and eat it. And right now, the way you have been eating your entire life is a very strongly ingrained habit. So if you want to change this, you need to sort of omit or make those things invisible in your environment so that way you're not constantly going back to that old habit. So clear those things out, do whatever you got to do, and substitute them with healthier plant-based options. Put out a bowl of fruit, maybe meal prep some stuff so that you have food during the week. Have some veggies and hummus. Do whatever you need to do to shift your environment to that of someone who is plant-based and vegan so that you're subliminally signaling to your mind every single time you walk into your kitchen that this is the new habit. The second change that you can make is going to be changing the meaning. And this is connected to the part of the habit loop called craving. And right now, we crave things that we view as attractive, and we don't crave things that we view as unattractive. So if you're trying to make this plant-based vegan change, if you still view burgers and hot dogs and cheese pizza and all of these things as attractive to you, you maybe want to watch some vegan or plant-based documentaries to change the meaning in your mind that you give to those foods. And then eventually when you look into the hows and the whats and the whys and all of that behind a lot of the animal-based products, you may never want to touch an animal-based product again. That's what happened to me. So by changing the meaning that you're giving to these particular foods, you're going to start not craving certain foods, and then you're going to start craving other foods. So then by seeing something about how awesome it is for you to consume, I don't know, celery every single day, you may just want to consume celery juice first thing in the morning every single day because you see how many benefits it has for your body, for your well-being. And then once you notice how great your body feels, you're going to want more of that and you're going to crave it. And every time you see that cue in your environment, you will then crave. So that's sort of how that loop works. The third change that you can make is changing the action. Changing the action is exactly what it sounds like. It's literally just changing your reaction and your response towards the craving that you have. And as human beings, we are more likely to fulfill cravings that are easy to fulfill. So if you want to change your action, you want to make your new habit actions or responses easier so that you're creating less friction or less resistance towards them. And you want to make your old habits that you're trying to let go more difficult to attain, and therefore creating more resistance and more friction between you and those old habits you're trying to let go of. So let's say in this plant-based vegan journey, you're having a really hard time with staying away from Snickers. And let's say you have a small bowl of mini Snickers in your kitchen and you find that still every single day after lunch or after dinner, you're grabbing a Snickers. You absolutely want to change your environment and either get rid of the Snickers or change the meaning that you give behind it. But if you're still finding that that's somehow not helping, maybe you stored them away somewhere and you made them invisible, but like you're still going in the cabinet because you know where they are type of thing, get rid of them completely. Okay, just like toss them out, give them to your neighbor. I don't care who, put them in a safe, figure it out. but make it absolutely difficult for you to continue eating them. So if you don't have them in your house at all, and let's say you're craving one at 12:30 a.m. around midnight and nothing is open, but you really want a Snickers and you just realized, oh, my secret stash is gone because I threw it away. This is the make it difficult part, because where are you going to get one at this time? Therefore, you're more likely to make a better choice, or at least a choice that is supportive to the habits you're trying to create for yourself. And you can definitely find substitutions. There are tons of vegan chocolate out there, so just saying. The fourth change is going to be change the reward. This is the last part of the habit loop, which is reward. It is the satisfaction that we get from fulfilling our cravings, and again, as human beings, we are more likely to repeat behavior that we are rewarded for. So when you're potty training a new puppy and you give it a treat every single time it actually goes to the bathroom where you want it to, it is more likely to repeat that behavior in the future. Human beings are pretty much the same. We may not have the same exact brain, but we have that same behavior in common. There's a very important neurotransmitter that I've mentioned in the past called dopamine that is one of the driving forces behind our behavior. And every single time we fulfill a craving or complete a habit or a task, we get a little dopamine boost. We receive a release of dopamine, which is the motivation hormone. It's the feel-good hormone. It's a very satisfying feeling. It's linked to having sort of this positive reinforcement behind what you're doing. So this might look like you eat plant-based for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you allow yourself to have a few scoops of vegan ice cream at the end of the day. You're rewarding yourself, you're making it satisfying, and you're more likely to eat plant-based for breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow because you know you get to have that ice cream at the end of the day. And just like you're using positive reinforcement to ingrain a new habit that you want to stick to, you can use sort of negative reinforcement to do the reverse. So if you find yourself reverting back to an old habit that you're trying to let go of, you can sort of have a consequence or a cost linked to you repeating that past behavior. So if you fold on this plant-based journey, at some point you might say, I need to pay $10 to a family member and they are not allowed to give it back to me. Eventually, if you eat an animal-based product for breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in the same day, that's $30 you're giving up. And imagine you do that for 3 days in a row, that's $90 you're giving up. So chances are you're probably gonna change that habit really fast. And if that's not it for you, you can always try something else. Like if you end up intentionally eating a meal with an animal-based product, you have to get up and run 5 miles. Just choose something that you're gonna hold yourself accountable towards. So the next 2 changes that I'm gonna give you are sort of like bonus tips. And there are 2 of the biggest things that I've noticed have made huge significant changes in my life. And the 5th one is going to be change your identity. We repeat what we're rewarded for, but we also tend to repeat what we believe in. So this basically looks like going deep and completely shifting major beliefs, past conditioning, and your self-concept. So instead of affirming to yourself or telling other people, I am an omnivore, you're gonna start telling them, I am vegan, I am plant-based. And the more you say something to yourself, the more you start to believe it. And you can literally do this with anything. And I might even argue that changing your identity should be one of the first things that you do, because your habit loop will sort of just follow suit with this. And you might notice that you miraculously just start making different changes based on what you've been telling yourself. So instead of telling people I am an omnivore, you're telling them I'm vegan now, I'm plant-based. And then all of a sudden you find yourself going for the plant-based options more often. You find yourself getting rid of your Snickers bar and throwing away all of your animal-based processed foods. And you can do this with anything. If you want to become a writer, you tell people I'm an author. If you want to read more, you tell people I'm a bookworm, I love reading books. If you have a certain fitness goal, you tell people, oh yeah, I work out 3 times a week religiously. Trust me when I say your subconscious mind will start to submit to the things that you're consciously and regularly telling to yourself. And then before you know it, 6 weeks go by and you notice, oh, I have not eaten an animal-based product not once in the last 6 weeks. Boom. That's how you do it. And the last change that I'm going to share that I really do stand behind is changing the people that are around you. This might look like having an accountability partner, so maybe you have a partner or a friend that wants to go plant-based with you, and you guys are checking in with each other on a regular basis, supporting each other, cheering each other on. This also might look like maybe creating some boundaries and editing the people in your life and how much access they have to you and how much time you spend with them, because there are people in our lives that are really supportive towards the version that we are trying to become. And we see them in our end goal, we see them in our dream life picture, in that story. And then there's other people that maybe are not the most supportive to that timeline that you're wanting to live on. Now, obviously be very, very discerning with this. I am someone who is plant-based. I've been on my plant-based journey now for 5 years, and that does not mean I exile all of my family members who are still eating meat and cheese. That's not how this works. But you know, depending on whatever the habit is, this might look like adding people to your circle that are living the lifestyle that you're trying to embrace and embody. And then, you know, with others, just setting firm boundaries and letting them know like, hey, listen, I can't continue to go out to eat to this place with you anymore because I'm plant-based now. I'm on my plant-based journey. And if they truly are supportive of you living your best life and they want to see you thrive and flourish, they're going to be like, all right, bet, like that's totally fine. We can do something else. How about we go do this activity? They might even join in with you. They might share resources with you that they found. Like I said, use your discernment. You will know the difference between the people that are supporting you and love you and want to see you living your highest purpose in your highest good. And there are other people that may not be that. So, you know, just move accordingly. So that's basically it for this video. Those are the 6 changes that you can make in your life right now to make or break any habit. And again, if you want to read the book Atomic Habits, I highly recommend. It's also on Audible if you're an Audible member. That's actually how I read the book. I just listened to it on like long drives, and I remember listening to the first few chapters and it absolutely hooked me. James Clear is an absolute genius. And if you want to, you can even watch some of the podcasts that he's been on because he does talk a lot about it there too. And you might even just get a big sum or synopsis of what the book is essentially. So yeah, if you have any questions, of course, leave them down below and I will see you in my next video. Bye.